Today's story is The Fun They Had written by Asimov. This story is set in the future, the year 2157, and schools are not like the ones we have today. Let's begin the story and travel into the future. So, here's what happened. Margie even wrote about it that night in her diary. She opened the page with the date 17th May, 2157, and wrote, "Today Tommy found a real book." A real book. It was very old. Margie's grandfather once told her that his own grandfather said there was a time when all stories were actually printed on paper. Tommy and Margie turned the pages. The pages were yellow and crinkly. Crinkly means, with many folds or lines, kind of wrinkled, like old paper. They found it really funny because the words on the pages didn't move. They just stayed still, unlike the moving words on their computer screens. And when they turned back to the page they had just read, guess what? It still had the same words as before. That was so strange to them. Then Tommy said, "Gee, what a waste. When you are done reading a book, you just throw it away, I guess." He thought that was silly. Because their television screen could hold millions of books, and still have space for more. So he said, "I wouldn't throw it away." Margie agreed. She was 11 years old, and she hadn't seen as many telebooks as Tommy had. Tommy was 13. Margie asked him, "Where did you find it?" Tommy didn't even look up. He pointed and said, "In my house. In the attic." Attic means a space just below the roof, usually used as a storeroom. Margie got curious. "What's it about?" she asked. Tommy replied, "School." Now Margie wasn't impressed. "School? What's there to write about school? I hate school." Margie always hated school, but now she hated it even more. Her mechanical teacher kept giving her one test after another, especially in geography. And she was doing worse and worse. So finally, her mother shook her head sadly and sent for the county inspector. The inspector came. He was a round little man with a red face, carrying a box full of tools, dials, and wires. He smiled at Margie and even gave her an apple before he got to work. He opened the mechanical teacher and started fixing it. Margie secretly hoped he wouldn't know how to fix it, maybe then she'd get a break from school. But no luck. After about an hour, the teacher was back, large, black, and ugly, with a big screen. That's where all her lessons and questions appeared. That wasn't even the worst part. What Margie really hated was the slot. She had to insert all her homework and test papers into it. Slot, a space where something is inserted, like a homework submission point. And she had to write them using a punch code she had learned when she was just 6 years old. The mechanical teacher would then check and calculate her marks instantly. After fixing it, the inspector smiled and patted Margie's head. He told her mother, "It's not the little girl's fault, Mrs. Jones. The geography sector was working too fast. These things happen sometimes. I've adjusted it to the average tenure level. She's doing quite well overall." Then he patted Margie's head again. But Margie was disappointed. She had really hoped they would take the mechanical teacher away, just like they once did with Tommy's teacher, when the history section stopped working, and it was gone for almost a month. She asked Tommy, "Why would anyone write about school?" Tommy looked at her like he knew something she didn't. With a superior look in his eyes, he said, "Because it's not our kind of school, stupid. It's the old kind of school that they had hundreds and hundreds of years ago." Loftily, speaking proudly or in a superior way. He carefully pronounced the word. Centuries ago. Margie felt hurt. Well, I don't know what kind of school they had back then, she said. She continued reading over Tommy's shoulder and said, Anyway, they had a teacher. Tommy explained. Sure, but it wasn't a regular teacher. It was a man. A man? How could a man be a teacher? Margie asked, surprised. Tommy said. He just told the kids things, gave them homework, and asked questions. Margie wasn't convinced. A man isn't smart enough. Tommy replied. Sure he is. My dad knows as much as my teacher. Maybe, he knows almost as much, I betcha, she said. Betcha, informal way of saying I bet you or I'm sure. Margie didn't want to dispute that. Dispute, to argue or disagree. But she added. I wouldn't want a strange man in my house teaching me. Tommy burst out laughing. You don't know much, Margie. The teachers didn't come to the house. They had a school building, and all the kids went there. And all the kids learned the same thing? Margie asked. Sure, if they were the same age, Tommy said. Margie was still thinking. But my mother says a teacher has to be adjusted to fit the mind of each boy and girl. Each kid should be taught differently. Tommy replied. Well, they didn't do it that way back then. Then he added. If you don't like the book, don't read it. Margie quickly said. I didn't say I didn't like it. She actually wanted to read more about those funny old schools. They weren't even halfway through the book when Margie's mother called out. Margie! School! Margie looked up and said. Not yet, Mama. But her mom replied firmly. Now. And added. It's probably time for Tommy too. Margie asked. Can I read the book some more with you after school? Tommy replied. Maybe, and walked away nonchalantly. Nonchalantly, casually, like it's not a big deal. He was whistling, carrying the dusty old book under his arm. Margie walked into her schoolroom. It was right next to her bedroom, and the mechanical teacher was already on and waiting. It always turned on at the same time every day, except for Saturday and Sunday. Because her mom believed that children learn better when they study at regular times. The screen lit up. It said, Today's arithmetic lesson is on the addition of proper fractions. Please insert yesterday's homework in the proper slot. Margie did as told, but with a sigh. Sigh, a deep breath showing sadness or tiredness. Her mind wasn't really there. She was thinking about the old schools, the ones that existed when her grandfather's grandfather was a little boy. She imagined how all the kids from the neighborhood came together. Laughing, shouting, playing in the schoolyard. Sitting together in the classroom. And going home together. They all learned the same things, so they could help one another, share their thoughts, and talk about homework. And the teachers were real people. Her mechanical teacher blinked and said, When we add fractions and... But Margie wasn't paying attention. She was still thinking. Thinking about how much fun those kids must have had. She was thinking about the fun they had. Central theme. So, what is this story really about? The central theme of the fun they had is the importance of human connection in education. Even though future technology may make learning easier, real fun lies in learning together, with friends, in a real school, with real teachers. That's what Margie realized. And maybe, we will too. The Fun They Had, written by Asimov, presenting EDUTOONS.